Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to NG Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we're doing an overview of the top 10 universities in the world, how that ranking is constructed, and what insights you can draw from it. Let's go! Okay, so if you haven't already signed up for my newsletter, do so now because it's packed with a ton of useful advice and tips on university admissions. So if you're targeting universities like the ones we're going to be talking about in the top 10, you will really benefit from the insights I share in my newsletter. The link is down below. And as ever, if you have a question, just drop me a line on Twitter, tweet me, and I'll do my best to reply. Okay, so top 10 universities. So the ranking we're talking about is the QS ranking. Now there are several companies, several organizations that put different rankings for universities. There are also hundreds of private companies that just put rankings, themselves and publish it. And some of these companies have no agenda. Others do have an agenda. So a lot of the time, I get parents, especially from countries like the Middle East, Russia, China, where they say, "Oh, Sonny, University of X in the UK, we're here, it's really good, we want to go there." And I'm like, dude, this university really sucks. The quality is rubbish, the reputation is rubbish, the employment prospects are rubbish. It's a lot of money down the toilet, but seemingly they, to them the reputation is good. And once I've started digging deeper, what I found is that there are a couple of companies, in this case in Russia, that are agents of that university. So they receive commission, they receive money basically by placing students at that university. And so they wrote a lot of articles, so-called rankings, that they've put themselves together promoting those universities. So you need to kind of really be able to call the BS and really filter out the true rankings versus rankings that have an agenda. QS generally is considered like sort of the gold standard of university rankings. So what are the actual universities in the top 10? You would have heard of already of a lot of those names, but they are MIT, Oxford, Stanford, Cambridge, Harvard, Caltech, Imperial in London, ETH Zurich, UCL, and University of Chicago. Now, just because University of Chicago is number 10 doesn't mean that next year it couldn't be number 15 or number 5. Similarly, just because MIT is number 1, Oxford is number 2, doesn't mean that next year, Oxford isn't may not be number 1. Basically, I would not read in too much into the rankings, especially for the top 10 universities. They're all, each one of them could be in the top spot, right? And because of the system, the parameters, how they build the rankings, they always, these things fluctuate. So you're going to see why in a moment. And so how do they actually construct it? Well, they assign a score to every university, and the score is based out of 100, and 40%, the biggest parameter of that score, is academic reputation. So they give it 40%. How do they do that? They basically do a lot of surveys with academics around the world and ask them, hey, what do you think about this university? Unsurprisingly, MIT has amazing reputation, Cambridge has amazing reputation, Chicago, Harvard all have fantastic reputation, which is why in the top 10, so they must score quite highly in that academic reputation. The second one they talk about is the employer reputation. And again, they survey hundreds, thousands of companies, talk about kind of what companies think about the universities, how many graduates from these universities they take. And we're not talking about your local corner shop, we're talking about big companies, Google, Facebook's, McKinsey's, etc., the big corporates who are being surveyed in terms of the employer reputation, but they only assign 10% to it. So between the academic and employer reputation, basically the street cred, that's half the ranking. Okay, and of course, depends who you ask questions, what's fashionable at the time, what's the latest sort of trend. Opinions change. So in the last 20 years, a lot of tech companies in Silicon Valley, in California, started recruiting students from Stanford and surrounding universities. So those universities, went up in the rankings for this particular parameter. So again, things can change. Maybe Silicon Valley will, die off, or will stop being the center of innovation that it has been, and there will be another, maybe a big cluster will open up in, I don't know, in Nigeria or in Austria. We just don't know that. So those are things that that can impact the rankings. Next factor is the faculty-student ratio, and QS assigns 20% to this. Pretty self-explanatory. The more professors, the more teaching staff you have per student, the better quality of education is for the student. So, universities like Oxford and Cambridge score highly because of the tutorial system here, and those weekly meetings too, and 1-2 students per professor, per lecturer, per don at the university, per faculty member, that are super valuable. But again, other universities do, in the top 10 also are also scoring highly there because they put, they have a lot of faculty to students. Now, you have to be careful. Just because university is in top 10 doesn't mean there is a lot of teaching faculty per student. So there could be research faculty in MIT, heavily research university. Caltech, number 6, heavily research university. Imperial, again, a ton of research. So just because there are a lot of faculty doesn't mean that your student experience is going to be fantastic. Actually, I always had a feeling, when I was studying at Oxford, that academics are there really to do the research. So teaching undergraduates is almost like a distraction that they just have to do, but they don't really care about teaching undergraduates because the research is the real passion. So, you really kind of need to investigate this and know what you're getting yourself into. And if you're really looking for full focus on undergraduate teaching, and you're thinking of applying to America, for example, check out liberal arts colleges, which are mentioned not as frequently as the Ivy League or whatever, the famous universities, but they are fully focused on the undergraduate teaching. They do no research; they just focus on teaching all the students. So that may be something that that's of interest to you. Fourth factor: citations per faculty. Again, assigned 20%, quite a big chunk. So again, this all comes down to the quality of the research. So how many academics you have that publish papers, how many people in other universities cite those papers. So this factor I would take with a pinch of salt, because there are a lot of ways how people game the system to get their articles higher up in the rankings. There is a whole industry out there that basically helps helps to fudge the numbers and to make academic or an article that's a bit meh appear to be really quite good. So you sort of have to know your stuff here. Again, for the top 10, it's safe. All 10 of those universities that I mentioned at the start of the video, they're excellent. They have excellent sort of academic output, but just something to bear in mind. Fifth factor, 5th out of 6, is the international faculty ratio. So how many, if you're a university in country X, how many citizens of countries non-X are working at that university? The general vibe goes, the more international the faculty, the richer the experience, the more collaboration, blah, 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 diversity, etc. So that's something, again, they only assign it 5%, but still an important factor. And the 6th one is the international student ratio, again, 5%, for those of you who are good with mental maths. Why they have it? Again, the thinking goes, by having some proportion of international students, you enrich the community, you enrich the experience, blah, 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 more collaboration, more diversity, more ideas, more different perspectives, etc., etc. Have to be careful with the university to be not too international. So, for example, again, just using a school's example, a lot of NG education clients who are looking to place their children in private schools in the UK and America, a lot, they go and they say, oh, Sunny, we want to go and study at school X because we heard it's really good. And I listen to the school and I tell them, guys, this school is rubbish. It's not just rubbish, it's bad. It's really bad. But the reason why they think it's good is because they read some ranking from a company somewhere in Russia or China or wherever that put up the ranking that said the school is really good when it's not. And what happens, they get to the school and they end up in a situation where 1/3 of the school, it's a school in York, 1/3 of the students are from Russia, 1/3 of the students are from China, 1/3 are from, the Middle East. Everyone speaks their own language. Very little integration and assimilation is actually taking place. So you as a parent, you're thinking, okay, I'm sending my kid, to get the British Western experience. They're getting the same experience that we're getting home. You're now just paying 50 times more money than if you were sending them back, back home locally. So it's important to have a proportion of international students. In my view, you don't want to be in a place that's too international because sometimes you can kind of, there is almost like no identity. So, and a good percentage, I would say up to 30% of international intake, that works really well. and is sort of sustainable in the in the long term for whether it's a school or a university. So a quick overview, just to sum up, top 10 universities from QS ranking, and remember there are different rankings, is MIT, Oxford, Stanford, Cambridge, Harvard, Caltech, Imperial, ETH, Zurich, UCL, and Chicago. And the 6 criteria that they base the rankings on are academic reputation, 40%, employer reputation, 10%, faculty to student ratio, 20%, citations per faculty, 20%, international faculty ratio 5%, and international student ratio 5%. So regardless, if you can get yourself a place at one of these top 10 universities, you're doing something right. All the best to you guys. Let me know in the comments if you want us to review any other rankings or any other particular universities. We'll be happy to do so. And all the best. Take care.